got the handouts, the PPTs and executive summary? Yeah, no, this just hasn't got it, and this group hasn't got it. Oh, guys, do you have the handouts?
No.
So this is what happens when we don't monitor our inventory. We are short of the products now.
Oh, actually, I have some.
Oh, you have it. That's great. That's great. That's great. There you go. And you got the PPT and the executive summary. That's great. Oh yeah.
Oh, also, I have more, actually.
Oh, now you have more. See, this is what happens when we don't monitor our inventory, don't have the system. Either we have over or we have under. So this is what we are going to present in our presentation today about our client. Yeah, so we are a group of people from Just Rescue a Business Company, and the CEO is Peter Melilio. And General Finance Manager of the pallet company, Seth Harrison, approached the CEO with their problems of inventory, and they gave us a project which is the transitional issues for implementing the Palmet Enterprise Resource Planning System to the pallet company. Here is Julia, the Customer Relationship Manager, Rishabh, that's me, who's a Project Manager, Research Officer Eugene, and the Action Learning Coach, Boyan. Let's move to the presentation. So here's the overview. We're going to go through the introduction of the company, what is ERP, the key recommendation that we give to the company, and the issues they told us that they have, and the background and investigation approach, the alternatives that we give, and after the analysis, what kind of recommendation we give to the company, and finally the future and further investigations. So the company was started by Nick Barden in 1995. It was started as a recycler of used wooden pallets. Today the company has 3 branches in Oakland, Napier, and Mount Maunganui. It is one of the largest manufacturer of pallets, crates, and bins. They also deal in make to order, and they claim to have a lead time of 3 days. And we are, like in this presentation, we are dealing with only the Oakland branch. The company is divided into 2 sites, which is saw site and assembly site. Saw site processes the raw material into components, while the assembly site processes those material and make them into pallets, crates, or bins. So this is a picture of the saw site, and that's the assembly site. So what actually is an ERP system? ERP system is a business process management software that integrates all your business processes into one go. So you don't need to have a separate software for accounting, inventory, sales module, planning, business, sales, purchases. No, you just need to have one package that is an ERP system, and this company is planning to get the Palmet system so that they can get rid of the problem of their inventory. So they don't need to get a particular software for accounting or sales or inventory. It is only the Palmet which has everything. Now the key recommendation that we recommend the company is they can use the barcode system to capture their data. And why we recommend this, you will come to know in the further slides. So what issues the company was addressing? There were 3 issues mainly. First was the inventory management. The company wasn't able to record the inventory of their raw material. They were doing it manually on a piece of paper, but they don't have any kind of software or system that they could have used. The other one was they were not able to track the inventory of their overcuts. And what our overcut is, when a raw material, like for say example a 4-meter length, is put in a band saw or a saw machine, and the company needs only a 3-meter length. The 1-meter length will be an overcut. The company wasn't able to track the inventory of that, and right now they have a big stack that they don't have any idea like what kind of length they have. They need to put that on an inventory system. That's why that's also an issue. The other one was there's dependency on only one person. That one person knows how much they need to order and how much raw material they are left with. The other one was the production management. They don't have a precise system or software that can tell how much overcuts or how much inventory they will be left with after they are used all the raw material for an order. The last one was incompetency of the shop floor workers to use a system. They were not technical enough so that they can use the computer system or other kind of system. Now moving on to the background and investigation approach, this will be taken over by Julia. Now over to Julia. Thank you.
I will briefly explain the process flow on making pallets. Raw material, which is timber, comes in bundles of about 3 to 5 meters in length and goes to optimizing saw machine where the needed number of components is cut. Short pieces of timber of cuts, and they go to firewood, and as it has been mentioned earlier, longer pieces of timber which still can be used as raw material for future components are called overcuts, and they go to inventory. When if if there is need to make the components thinner, they go to the bandsaw where they are cut to width. Otherwise, the components go to assembly site where the shop floor workers make the pellets, and after that, the pellets are packed on trucks for delivery. As it has been mentioned before, inventory is an issue for the company because about 20 to 25% of daily orders are overcuts, which is quite a huge amount. This leads the company to decide that they need to have ERP system, and that's why they intend to implement the Palmate ERP system, which was specifically built for pellet manufacturing companies. And the company needs to know whether there will be any fundamental changes in the work process of shop floor and what preparation they need to have before implementing ERP system, and how to keep control over the input that is derived after the implementation. The problems the company can face before they're implementing ERP system is what kind of business processes they can implement in order to capture data into Palmate ERP system, and what kind of training needs to be given to the shop floor workers regarding the new ERP system. Now over to Eugen, who will take you through the investigation approach, alternatives, and analysis. Thank you.
So for the investigation approach, we do like group meeting with Seth Harrison, General Manager of Finance of the pellet company, and a Skype calls with the overseas companies such as Palmate Company in USA and Pellet Supply Company in South Africa, and Macintosh Box and Pellet Company in USA. And also the email communication, observation like factory visits, and to see how the product is being made, and the audio recording is included. In order to capture the data into the system, in alternatives, there are two methods can be implemented: barcode scanning and manual input. So, the floor workers can use barcode scanning to put the data into the system, and in the manual input, the floor workers can manually type the data into the ERP system. And otherwise, the company can also start with the manual input and move to the barcode scanning later. And also, there are two computer systems can also be set up to use. Install one computer system with aerosol machines, and another one is a common computer system for the assembly side. Training classes can be established for floor workers to learn how to use the computer system. In analysis, there are two aspects: barcode scanning and manual inputs. In barcode scanning, it's easy to put data in the system, but with this time. But training will take a long time, and it's difficult to work to floor shop workers to print the barcodes, and communication to officer will take time. In manual inputs, it's also difficult, and will take long time. Training will take relatively less time, and there are scope for errors while inputting data, and also lack of computer knowledge can be the issues when the input process can be the issues. So the transformation from manual to barcode scanning will take a lot of time and resource per cut, and more expensive than the cutting in-house. Shop floor workers will get knowledge from the training classes. No fundamental change in the company business processes. So the recommendation and the future investigation will give to the William.
Thanks, Eugen. Here comes to recommendations. So firstly is to apply barcode scanning system to manage raw material overcuts and offcuts. And secondly, they need printing machines to be installed on shop floor for the barcode printing. And for the most importantly, people need to be trained for using Palmate ERP system and other related computer systems. And lastly, the company need to some people to take responsibility to monitor the process because firstly we need to make sure the whole production process is moving properly and smoothly, and also we can find out is there any more rooms for further improvement. As for the further and future investigation, first thing we will look for the ways to control the business process and their outcomes, and better to set a system so that the business process being monitored properly. And secondly, we will find out like what are the barriers for the barcode scanning implementation, and also how the company can overcome those barriers. And also we will have a look if there has any other models of the payment system that can be used for the Palace company. And last is to keep check whether the inventory model can generate profits for the Palace company and how big it is. So we need to compare the figures before and now. And last, here are some photos of the Palace company that we are taking during our visit. So this is their inventory ground. You can see all the band, and this is their longsword. And this is the inside of their longsword. You can see the wood being cut. Yeah, and that's some overcuts. You can see the pattern. And yep, that's the recycle bin. Yep, and that's the shop floor workers. Yep, and this is the assembly side. You can use they use the nail gun to assemble the pallets. Yeah, and that's the finished product and loading to the truck. Thank you very much.
So you talk about training being one of the key components that will need to be implemented. What sort of training are you talking about? You mentioned classes, but what sort of topics will be covered in the classes, and how long do you see the training being implemented for?
I got it. So basically, you need people to working together, so to implement this system. So all the workers, the relevant people, they need to know what they need to do, what's the general process. So those sort of things. We need to training for that.
And using the barcode, what's going to be required for using the barcode? Where will these scanners be through the process?
For example, they need to know which way to scan properly. Like sometimes they didn't know how to scan it. Maybe the scan didn't properly, so it's not in the system. So we have an error. So they need to know how to scan it. Yeah, and what's the outcome should be in the system. So they control everything.
And implementation of the barcode. So we have written in the alternative that install one computer with every saw machine. The company has 2 saw machines. So there will be one computer with every saw machine. So when the raw material will come in, the person will scan the barcodes and it will goes into the system, the Palmet system. And for the assembly side, only install one computer machine, because you just need one machine for that, because once you scan the components into the Palmet system, the components goes off from the Palmet system, because when you make the pallets, you don't scan those pallets again, because those pallets are meant to be shipped, so there's no use of putting the barcodes for them. So this stage is the last stage, like the assembly side is the last stage where you are scanning your components. That's it.
So in your alternatives, you have barcode scanning for printing machines on the shop floor or printing machines in the office. You're recommending printing machines on the shop floor?
Yeah.
One of each.
Yeah. Because it would be much easier if the printing machine are on these shop floors, because there would be much time waste if the machines are in the office, because one person needs to be delegated this responsibility, that the person who's saying we need these many barcodes of this kind of dimension of pallet, that needs to be transferred to the back in the office, and then the office people will print the barcodes and those things will move out to the shop floor. This thing will take time and there might be a scope for error. And instead, if shop floors have the capabilities and the training to print the barcodes, it will be much time, less time will be consumed.
And is this what you found with your overseas research?
Yeah, this is what I found on overseas research.
Question. Let's say the barcode is printed in this kind of size and pallet this way. Which position do you want to put on the pallet? Because if let's say, on timber, because if let's say there's overcut, means that small part is cut, and where should the barcode go? The long one or the short one?
So what happens is when the raw material comes in, the company knows that the raw material is of 4 meter length or it's of 5 meter length, and when they put the material inside the machine, they know they're going to cut 3 meter length of it, and 1 meter length will be left out. So every time when a raw material goes in, every time there is a overcut of 1 meter. So they will put those 1 meter length of overcuts on a pallet. They will make a stack and they will cover it, and they will stick a barcode on it. That's it.
Another new round.
Yeah. So they know every time it will be the same overcut. All the time it will be same.
I thought the overcuts were of variable length because the input timber in the pack, they're called packs, they're on average X meters long, 4 meters long. But don't they vary? Or is it a fixed length?
Mostly fixed.
It is mostly fixed.
For the purpose of this, it's fixed.
Oh, okay. Generous. Okay. Right. Okay. Set that down.
That's it.
Let us say we have 50 pieces of overcuts stacked on a pallet on which you have one single barcode. On a particular day, we use 10 of them. How will we track how many are we left with? How will we track how many we have used and how many we are left with?
So this is how happens is, when you know there on a piece of pallet you have 50 components. When you scan it, that thing gets as input into the Palmet system.
Yep.
Now it's as an input. You use 10 pieces. You write in the Palmet system that you have used 10 pieces, and automatically it will deduct the 10 pieces from the Palmet system. Now it will show that this barcode of this particular dimension has only 40 pieces. That's it.
So we have to manually input some data
Yeah.
and use scanners for some of the.
Yeah, you scan it only for the input. When you use the data, when you have used the components, whatever you're left with, you just write it so that it's updated into your system. Because anyways, you have to write it. Palmet system won't know that you have used 10 pieces, 10 components. And that way you can monitor your inventory. Okay, from this kind of barcode with this kind of dimension, you are left with only 40. So in future, you can use only 40 out of it.
You spoke to several users of the Palmate system overseas.
Mhm.
What were some of the other advantages and teething problems that
Yeah.
those companies came up with?
Okay, one of the advantage of this Palmet system is the sales order. We have done Skype with 2 companies. One company is using for sales order, inventory and shipping. The other company is using only for sales order. And they say when they use the sales order, they are able to track the history of their customers 10 to 15 to 20 years back, and they know what kind of product, what kind of particular kind of pallet that is being sold into the market the most, so that they can have the inventory of such kind of pallets, so that in case like they can anticipate the demand which might come in the coming months with the help of the sales order module, because they have the history. What kind of customer has ordered this kind of pallet? What kind of pallet is being mostly supplied into the market? What kind of pallet has this kind of pricing? Whether they need to do something on the pricing, whether they need to be loyal to these customers, and which are their loyal customers. So that's yeah.
I'll go from the opposite side of this question. What's been the biggest barrier for them to implement an ERP system?
The biggest barrier is 2 things: resources and time. Either they don't have resources in terms of people. People don't know how to use a computer. In case you don't know how to use a computer, it's difficult for you to use the Palmet system, because doesn't matter if you have a manual system or a barcode system, you have to go on to the computer to print the barcodes or to print the values into the system. So the first barrier is the people. The second barrier is the time. When you know that you are in the season, when you know that you are busiest, it's not possible for the company to give time. So with our research with overseas companies, we came to find out that the best time to implement the Palmet system is when you are not at all busy. so that you can give time to training, you can give time to yourself, you can give time to each and every person, because handling and implementing the Palmer system is a really big project. And one person needs to be dedicated that knows everything about the Palmer system so that he can help others. So time and resources are the barriers.
Similar profile to the pallet company in terms of fast response time to respond to customers' orders, and secondly, short production per run. And if so, what were the features of their implementation of the Palmate system?
Yeah, this was the first demand of Mr. Said Harrison, that you need to find companies that does operations as like us. So with the help of Robert Hayes from Palmate, I was able to manage to get the contacts of two companies. One company was the pallet supply in South Africa. The other company was Macintosh Box and Pallets in USA. So the difference in these companies are, the company from South Africa was smaller but same as our company. The only difference was they used to get the pre-cuts. Rather, this company, like our client, cut the components in the house. So the difference in getting the pre-cuts is, this is the kind of dimension that you are getting. It's easy for you to track your inventory on a piece of paper. But with our client, it's difficult because you don't know how much you are getting and you don't know what kind of length it could be. Because most of them are like a fixed length, either 3 meters, 5 meters, 3.5 or 4 or 6 meters. But there are some kind of variants. But in the company which was from South Africa, there wasn't any variance. They used to get them from the suppliers as pre-cuts. The rest of the operations were all same. Everything. And in the next company, which was from USA, it is a really big company which has over 60 years of experience. They have 6 facilities around US, and one of the facilities that was facility 3, which was same as our company. Exactly same. Like they get the raw material in variance length. They know what kind of length they have. They put the raw material into the bandsaw, into the saw machine. They cut them. The only difference is they were using the Palmate for the inventory module. And the first company from South Africa, they were using the Palmate for sales module, not the inventory. Sorry. That's why we moved. We asked Robert Hayes to give another contact, which is using inventory module, basically for monitoring their pallets, and they were using it, inventory module as well as sales order module.
I'm curious to know what is the price of. Clearly, this is a Lego set of software. You buy the core Palmate system, I presume, and then you add these separate modules in inventory and sales and whatever.
Yeah.
Have you got a sense of what?
By having a Skype call with Robert Hayes, which was from Palmate company, I did a Skype call 2 or 3 months back, and he was saying it depends on the company what kind of module the company needs. If the company wants the Palmate in total, it might cost like millions of dollars, and it will be really difficult for the company to bear each and every model in one go. So what companies do, they know what kind of demand they have. Either they need a sales order module to track the history of the customers, or do they need the inventory module to track their inventory. Like for our client, we know that we need inventory module. Also, with the inventory module, it is mandatory, or it is like good and efficient to have a production module, because inventory module says we have this, and production module says we need this. And if production module says we need this, and if there is no inventory module, how will the production guy will know whether they have it or not? And if inventory says we have this, whom is it going to say to? So it's a parallel system. You have to have inventory module, you have to have production module. So it is on the company to order whether they need production, whether they need inventory, whether they need sales, purchase, shipping, delivery. It depends on the company. So it would be much easier for company to move step by step instead of getting everything. It's difficult to grab everything in one go.
Okay, so you're not up for $1 million. So
Yeah.
Approximately what am I up for 2 of those modules? That's the core.
Maybe $1 or $2 million. But it would be in $1 million. Like, I don't have the exact data, I don't have the exact costing because I didn't ask him and he didn't tell me as well.
All right.
Yeah.
Yeah. What's the value? So that goes back to the question of what's the value in quantifying the benefit of tracking the inventory, particularly of the cuts?
Right.
What advantage that?
So the value in terms of costing, we weren't able to do that because right now we don't have the data of how much value of the components it is sitting in the company. So we don't have that. What value we can provide in terms of time is the time would be saved relatively less because in order to print the barcodes and scan the barcodes, it will take time. But what gives the value, what thing that gives the value is the traceability and accountability. You can trace what is happening in the company right now. If you have the Palamute system, you know who's cutting which component, who's cutting which component. That's the traceability. And the accountability in terms of what kind of customers you have. What all customers is buying this kind of pallet or who all customers are loyal to the company. So traceability and accountability were the two things of benefits that we were able to find out, research through our Skype meetings with other companies.
Any more questions?
No?
No? Okay, give my hand. Okay. So, first of all, I'd say an absolutely polished, engaging introduction to the whole presentation. So well done.
I'd agree that the start was fantastic. It was really, really good. It absolutely put a real aspect on what the theoretical problem may be, and engaged everybody from the start. So yeah, it was a fantastic start.
And the flow of the presentation is very good, especially the beginning was a creative idea.
Do anything?
Oh yeah, it's a great presentation. You guys use your own word and easy to follow. Clear, defined presentation.
According to me, the delivery was effortless. I found it interesting. So you were quite familiar with what you are saying, and it was easy going.
Okay. Areas of improvement. What would you improve?
Yes, I think there is only one small thing need to improve. I think next time you guys should try less laptop put on the computer on table. I think it's better to try using iPad because it's smaller. Yeah, it's better. That's what I think.
Yeah, I would agree. Like 4 laptops are kind of restricting the view. It doesn't look good. So maybe using 2 laptops would be better. Otherwise, the presentation was good.
Just in your presentation, there's to Seth and to pretty well everyone that's in this room, we really know what overcuts are. But a crucial component of your presentation is about overcuts, and so I would have liked to have got a picture of these overcuts earlier on to help explain where these come from.
I'll let you go. I'll go last because I've got a few.
Okay, I'll focus on the slides. First one will be the flow chart. I don't know whether there's a mistake, but take a look at the yes or no. I think it's the other way around. And then for the analysis slide, it will be good that stated the strength and the weakness of both barcode scanning and manual input, instead of the whole bunch. Separate to advantage and weaknesses. And then that's all. And then a little bit of spelling mistakes.
Look, overall, I think the presentation was very, very good, and I really like the way that you've put together the slides. I think there's a logical sequence that the slides should go in, that it's not quite there at the moment. I think in some parts we're explaining a key recommendation without actually addressing what the problem is. So we said we want to implement an ERP system, and our recommendation is the barcode scanner. And it's saying, well, there's a jump from that slide to that slide without actually addressing what the problem is. So that would just be one. I think you need to make more use of the flowchart. I think that's a really, really good tool. And if you bring that up there. So walking through that, I actually think you need to walk through that with a pointer, because just explaining it with just looking at it can get a bit confusing, but if you walk through it with a pointer, it works very, very well. And then I'd actually take it a next step and say, if we implement the ERP system with the barcode scanning, this is what the process looks like now with the barcode scanning involved as well. So it actually shows you what the situation is now and what the situation looks like once we implement it. And I think just one slide you're missing at the end, which you talked to but didn't actually have in a slide, is the benefits. So you talk about your recommendations, and then I just think you need to figure out what the benefits are from implementing those recommendations. So what does the company look like after you've implemented that? But apart from that, I thought it was very, very good, and well done.
Thank you very much. Any other improvements? No. So, so thanks very much, Julia, for getting out there before the presentation. You're part of the team, but you're out there looking to sort out the traffic problems that we had this afternoon. I think it was a fantastic, miraculous transformation in terms of the presentations we've been rehearsing over the last few weeks. That was just absolutely succinct and snappy, and pretty well everything was there. And I take full responsibility for having the key recommendation up first.
I knew it would be in there something to do with the executive presentation.
And I think the sequence of topics has worked pretty well, but obviously I've got used to that sequence, so take what Seth says. Okay, any more positive points that anybody else wants to make here about the presentation?
Well, I just want to make a point that I think this team in particular, with the investigative and analytical interviews that you've done, I kept pressing you guys to just don't go to Palmate, go to someone else. And then you've gone to someone else, and don't just rest on that, go to someone else. And I think you guys have taken that on board really, really well. So I think it wouldn't be half the content in here if you had just gone to Palmate.
Thank you very much. In the hands.